Trials of Tav, the massively popular new game mode that brings a roguelike experience into Baldur's Gate 3 that allows you to defeat waves of enemies, unlock random loot, power-ups, buffs, abilities, has just received a brand new update and has been re-released as Trials of Tav Reloaded. Now, what Trials of Tav Reloaded brings is loads of bug fixes on the original version, overhauled monsters, brand new scaling, and new enemies adapted from their tabletop D&D versions. Trials of Tav Reloaded has been created by Celerev, and how it came to be was they were creating a brand new mod to add in more D&D tabletop spells into Baldur's Gate 3. And as part of testing out those new spells, they ended up creating new bosses to be able to test those brand new spells against. And what they learned was there was actually a lot of room to improve on the original release. So with the permission of the original creator, Hippo, they decided to carry on that work and improve upon the original Trials of Tav mod. So from what I understand, it takes nothing away from the original Trials of Tav, it simply adds to it. So with Trials of Tav, originally we saw 200 different enemy types. Now we've got an additional 60 new monsters added from the base game, including all of the legendary monsters in Baldur's Gate 3 except for the Netherbrain, which apparently is coming in a future update. They've also added 10 brand new custom bosses which are adapted from either the existing BG3 narrative or relevant tabletop material such as D&D sourcebooks, etc. And each of these new bosses has their own set of custom abilities. There's been a ton of bug fixes on the original version, and some of the bosses who rely on their narrative and their arena in the base game, which isn't relevant in the roguelike, such as Raphael with his pillars, have been retooled to fit in a combat randomizer. Basically, rather than copying and pasting from the base game, they have been built around this game mode specifically. And interestingly, there's been a new tier-based rate of scaling added so that monsters with their more powerful abilities can be added into Trials of Tav without having to worry that the player will be significantly underleveled and underprepared for all of their attacks. If you haven't played Trials of Tav before, very similar to your traditional roguelike games, which means that you make a run. At the end of that run, you can buy power-ups, you can buy new abilities, things like that. And this new update has added in new shop options, such as Gale's Divine Ascension can now be chosen as a power-up at the end of a round. There's also been some price changes and some requirement changes and other tweaks to the shop as well. And they've even added in a super boss, a level 27 custom boss, which is designed to pull out all of the stops and really test your characters, your party, and your build. So as I mentioned earlier, Celerev was also working on a mod to add in new tabletop spells from D&D into Baldur's Gate 3, and that mod works side by side with Trials of Tav Reloaded, and it's called Advanced Tabletop Spells. So what this does is adds in new spells and abilities from level 7 to level 9 from the tabletop D&D 5th edition, and it brings it into the game with customized VFX and coded effects on top of that. So just some of the new tabletop spells that you can expect now with this mod is at level 7 we can unlock Divine Word, Prismatic Spray, and at level 8 we get Anti-Magic Field, Glibness, Sunburst, and at level 9 spells like Blade of Disaster, Mass Polymorph, Meteor Swarm, which is awesome, and loads more. And the cool thing is about this mod as well is it not only gives these spells to the player, but also makes them accessible for bosses and adds them into their potential spell lists. Each of the new added spells also has scrolls that can be found throughout the game, so these two mods are designed to be used side by side. You're bringing in all of the new tabletop spells from the Advanced Tabletop mod into Trials of Tav Reloaded. All of the new bosses and enemy types within the new game mode will have access to all of these new spells alongside being able to use them as a player. For those of you new to Trials of Tav, it adds in over 80 new maps plus the new ones from Trials of Tav Reloaded, hundreds of hours of new gameplay. A word of warning, Trials of Tav is designed to be used with a brand new save, so it's not suggested that you do so with an existing save, as it can break your save and mess up your progression within the base game itself. So when starting your first run of Trials of Tav, you'll be teleported straight to your camp, so you don't need to go through the tutorial again, and within here you'll now see the Trials of Tav menu. So what you can do within here is you can simply start your next run. You'll be able to choose from a number of different difficulty options. There's lots of different configuration options within here as well. And then you start your run. And then once you're ready to go, you simply leave camp and you'll be teleported to the first map to begin the first run. Now, as I said before, Trials of Tav is a roguelike game mode where you can take on waves and waves and waves of enemies that continue to spawn as you go through the rounds, and the rounds get increasingly harder as well. So as the rounds increase with difficulty, of course, your rewards increase as well. So all of the loot is randomized, it drops at random, and it will even incorporate loot from other mods that you have and bring them into the Trials of Tav loot table as well. So infinite replayability. But as you go through it, as you complete the new rounds, you will be given currency that you can spend. Now that currency can be used in the Unlocks tab here within the Trials of Tav store. So within the store, you've got so many different options that you can add into your arsenal for your next round. So things like unlocking new tadpole powers, assuming Mind Flayer form, spawning a Mind Flayer companion, adding additional XP so you can level up. You can spawn different types of loot, all the way from your standard normal loot up to legendary, buy your camp supplies, get different blessings, anointments. You can even break and restore your oath as a paladin. Lots of different things to choose from in here. And you can even add in different multipliers as well. You can gain double XP, you can gain 50% more loot, gain 20% more currency, and also increase your ability score points. Now, Trials of Tav does have a new game plus mode, as you can see here. So it costs 2,000 currency and you need 300 rogue score to do that. So as you go through the Trials of Tav runs and rounds, you gain a rogue score. So that rogue score is essentially your high score for going through those rounds. Once you reach 300 rogue score and you have 2,000 currency, you can unlock New Game Plus, which allows you to go into an even harder replay of Trials of Tav Reloaded, but bring with you all of the gear and things that you've acquired in the previous run. Now, as a big fan of the original Trials of Tav mod, I can't recommend the Reloaded version enough. It is simply an improvement over the original in pretty much every single way. This mod is available now to download from Nexus. Super straightforward. You simply download it from Nexus and run it using BG3 Mod Manager. And in addition to that, you also need to install the Advanced Tabletop Spells mod, again by Celerev, and also available on Nexus. And just make sure that you load this one above Trials of Tav Reloaded in your load order in BG3 Mod Manager, otherwise they will conflict. So if you're a sucker for punishment, you can also use Trials of Tav Reloaded with other difficulty scaling mods like Combat Extended and things like that. You can simply add that into your load order and it will work in conjunction with Trials of Tav. Big shout out to Celerev for this one. Amazing work, my friend. Check this one out, guys, and let me know your highest rogue score, and let's see who's top of that leaderboard. And if you enjoyed today's video and found it useful, please don't forget to like and subscribe to the channel for more Baldur's Gate 3 and RPG content. Your support really does mean the world to me, and it helps the channel continue to grow and allow me to keep making videos like this. Thank you so much for watching. Big love. I'll see you in the next one.